Hello everyone, and to all you potential future GCSE students, my name is Miss Bevis and welcome to this taster video for GCSE Drama. So today we're going to be looking at what is essentially going to be one of the first lessons you will look at when you get into year 11. Now obviously with it being remote, it is going to be a bit different than we would usually expect in drama, because as you can imagine, drama usually has quite a fair amount of practical work within it. However, today's lesson is going to be primarily focused on the introduction to what we call Component 1, Devising Theatre. You will need a few sheets of paper, pens, pencils, and maybe even some colours and highlighters if you have them. Once you've got all of those, we can start with our taster session. The first thing I'm going to ask are a few questions just to see if I can test any knowledge that you might have already. So component 1 is called devising theatre. The first question I have for you is, what is devising? Second of all, I'd like to ask what a stimulus is, whether you've heard the word stimulus before and what you think it means. Number 3, I imagine most of you should know this as we've been covering it quite a lot in our lessons for year 9. What is a theatre practitioner? What is a drama portfolio? And what is supporting evidence? So you might know some of these, you might not, but I'd like you to give them your best guess. So what I'd like you to do is to pause the video now, give yourself a couple of minutes to jot down some answers, and then replay the video once you are ready, and we will go through the answers together. So devising, in essence, in its simplest form, is creating an original piece of theatre, and that is what component 1 is all about. It's all about the creation of your own pieces of work that are completely your own creations. There will be no input from me in terms of what you include. I am simply there as your director and someone to give you hints and tips every now and then. The creation of the piece, the acting and the design is all down to you. So what is your stimulus? Your stimulus is the starting point from which a piece is created. I'm never going to just say, start creating a piece of drama. You will always have a starting point to go from, and you'll have a few to choose from. Theatre practitioner, I hope you remembered this one. That is a person who has a particular approach to theatre and a belief about what theatre should do. So examples include Stanislavski, Bertolt Brecht, Katie Mitchell, and hundreds of other people from all over the world who have all influenced theatre in different ways. A drama portfolio. It is a written project that explains how a stimulus, so your starting point, developed into a piece of theatre. And supporting evidence is anything that reinforces the words written in your portfolio. For example, they might include photos, mind maps, recordings, research, character studies, floor plans, or sketches, or most other things that you can include. Today, we're actually going to be creating some supporting evidence which could potentially be used in future work, should you choose to do GCSE drama. All of these things link together. Devising, stimulus, theatre practitioner, they all link. You will start with a stimulus as your starting point, which then gets turned into a devised piece of theatre. You will use a theatre practitioner to influence the style of theatre you create, and then throughout the entire process, you will be creating a drama portfolio to explain to the examiner, i.e. me, how you got from the start to the end result. Now, as I said, we're going to be looking at creating our own bits of supporting evidence for today in the form of mind maps, hence why I wanted you to have pens, pencils, and some colours as well. We're going to be having a look at the 4 stimuli that this year's current year 11 are using for their devised pieces, or were using, as they will have moved on by now. So stimuli can be in many different forms. You can explore all 4, but the final piece is based off just one of them. So for example, you might have a quote. You could have a song. For example, You Pretty Things by David Bowie, a very good song. You might have a picture or painting. You could have an extract from a book or a poem. There are many different kinds of stimuli out there, and the exam board will send you 4 to choose from. So what we're going to be doing, with our mind maps is we're going to be exploring these stimuli in a bit more detail to see what kinds of thoughts, feelings, and questions we can develop from our initial look at them. So the first one we've got is power's not given to you, you have to take it. And that's a quote by Beyonce Knowles. I imagine you probably know Beyonce very well, very famous. What I'd like you to do is to start your mind map with that quote in the middle. And what you are going to do is you will have a minute to pause the video and to write as many things that come to your mind when you see that stimulus, when you see the quotes, when you think about Beyonce as a person and what it is she's trying to say. If you're struggling to come up with any ideas, I've got some questions there that you might want to try and answer through your annotations. So thinking about the meaning behind the words, the message, is it relevant to today? So think about the news you might have seen. There are so many questions you can ask and notes that you can make. So please pause the video now, write as many observations and questions about the stimulus as you can in 1 minute. The next one on the list is David Bowie, Oh You Pretty Things. I'd like you to listen to the song. If the embedded video doesn't work, you can always click on the link below in green and it will come up. Listen to the video and most importantly, listen to those lyrics. Have a read of them as well if they've got the lyrics written down. So you're going to create a new mind map now. So this time with David Bowie in the middle or Pretty Things in the middle. And you are going to, off that, think about the lines, think about the mood of the song, the instruments that are used, the tone. Maybe think about the singer himself, David Bowie, a very famous man, very controversial in some ways and very interesting. And then try and make those connections and really think about questions as well as thoughts and feelings that you could use. So please pause the video now and take a moment to listen to the song and to write down your thoughts and feelings about this stimulus. Stimulus number 3 is a picture this time, so there's no words to go off. And again, you're going to create a new mind map, and this time you're going to just put picture in the middle. You don't have to draw it, don't worry. And you've now got to think about what you can see, what symbolism there might be, the details, the colours even, what colours are being used. And write those in your mind map form. Get as many questions, as many thoughts and feelings and links out as you possibly could. And the final one, and this is the quote from A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, and that is, she knew that he wore his life on his skin, that his biography was written in the flesh and on his bones. So you're going to be analysing that quote, thinking about what the meaning of it is. Who do you think is saying it? Who are they saying it to? Who are they talking about? Who could this person be? Who is she? And who is he? Who are they to each other? What could it mean in the context of the book? Do you know the book? So again, take a moment now, pause the video, create a new mind map and get as many things down as you can in terms of this. So I did my own mind map. So I used a bit of paper, used a minute to write down my thoughts and feelings. And I chose Power's Not Given to You, You Have to Take It by Beyonce. And I've just put some of the things that I wrote onto this slide so you could see my thought process as well as the connections. And you might even get some good ideas out of it. So first thing that came to mind was Beyonce's obviously this symbol of womanhood and girl power. So that was one of the first things that I sort of connected with. And then I started thinking about some more serious issues. So I began to think about feminism and the Me Too campaign, where women who had been taken advantage of and abused within music and film industries and theatre began standing up and speaking about their experiences. A new film has come out called Moxie, which is all about girls in high school not allowing themselves to be taken advantage of anymore. And the idea of speaking out for what you believe in. And that led me to a different train of thought. So being proactive, so the idea of actually doing something and not just sitting by. So the power to do more, fighting for what you believe in. And I thought of Greta Thunberg, someone who is very notorious for speaking her mind and telling people exactly how she feels about the environment. And then I started thinking about the idea of proactiveness and standing up. And I thought protests, the perfect example of standing up for what's right. Black Lives Matter's protest. It's a relevant topic. It's really topical right now. And I started thinking of more historical protests like Stonewall riots, which led to the LGBT community being taken more seriously and being given more rights than they had. There are so many ways that you can tackle these thought processes through your mind maps, and it's nice to use mind maps because then you can create all these lovely links between them. So you can have a look at mine, compare it to your own, but there are so many hundreds of ways that you can come up with ideas from these stimuli. Here are some examples of past ideas that groups have had from my previous school as well. And these are the kinds of performances that they ended up going on to create. Discrimination, gaming, lad culture, the Me Too campaign, what it's like as a teenager, doping scandals as well. Really grown up, really, really mature content they're looking at. And it really reflects on the maturity of GCSE students, just how well they can handle some of these topics. So before I finish with our little taster video, your last little task I want you to do before we leave is, can you fill the missing steps? So if you were to get from point 1, being the stimuli, to point 2, which is the end result, how do you think they link together? So look at the stimuli, compare them to what the end results are, and see if you can come up with some links between them. Thank you very much for joining me for this taster video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Obviously, it is very different from what we'd usually have, but after all, GCSE Drama is not just practical work. You've also got to do the theoretical stuff as well and the writing. So I hope this was a really good taster as to the kinds of topics and the kinds of mature content you're going to experience in GCSE Drama. If you have any further questions for me, feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to talk to you about the course. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this taster session and I look forward to hopefully seeing you next year in Year 10.